Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. This is where I talk about random topics while I'm driving to and from work. I'm currently driving from the shops though. There is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot. I'm unashamedly going to swear because I don't get to swear around the kids because I'm a teacher and therefore I'm going to swear at home. So the quick topic for this way home, this journey home at the moment, is bravado. It's a bit complicated really, because you don't know what point bravado becomes just arrogant. So you want to believe that it's some kind of, it's confidence, maybe confidence through gaining experience or understanding or wisdom. But at some point, you're going to come across a right arrogant prick and you're going to go, fuck you and your bravado, buddy. So you've got to be careful with that, I suppose. I mean, there's all kinds of circumstances in which you need bravado. Mainly if you're chicken shit, and a lot of my social anxiety shit requires a certain amount of bravado, which I can absolutely tell you is learned. It did not come naturally, not at all. I am definitely an introvert at heart. I find social situations fucking painful. And I know at some point that you really do have to join in, you have to make friends and stuff like that, or, you at least have to put on a mask or something just to get by. Even at work, half the fight is me dealing with other people, let alone doing the job as a teacher. It's a bit tricky. I mean, to be honest, I was, as a kid I was ASD, so, well, I'm still ASD, but, my major problem was that I had, besides not having social skills, I also had selective mutism. So any kind of situation you put me in where it would require interacting with other people, I would not speak. Not really. I mean, unless it was like my close friends at school, like my friend Andrew I've known since year 2, so he knows I talk and I go a bit weird and funny. He's seen my realness, I guess. But I have trouble talking. Seriously, I can't do it. Even now when I'm sort of like overly emotional or overly tired, I still have trouble because my stutter kicks in and I'm just fucked and I can't speak. So it's hard to interact with people and try and put on that nice, countenance where you can just get along with people and talk about anything. And when you're absolutely shattered and you're just like, dude, just fuck off. Okay. I can't put on the bravado right now. I'm too tired. And right now it's probably a prime example of that, given I've just spent 8 hours being screamed at by year 5s. My bravado definitely was challenged today. I was damn near losing my shit at them. I'm going, are you serious? These disrespectful little turds. But they're my kids, so I gotta like them. They're awesome. In their own way, they're awesome. They're funny as fuck, but they test your fucking patience. Especially when they're getting ready to head into puberty and you're like, just stop. But you gotta have a certain amount of confidence. So growing up, I didn't really, and there was no need for it as well. Like my parents didn't really encourage me to have any kind of confidence to speak up socially. It wasn't promoted because they liked the compliance side of things. They wanted me to be quiet and, do your job and get on with it. I mean, as soon as you started acting up, speaking up, it was squashed because they didn't like noise. My dad didn't like us making noise in general. My mum saw any kind of noise like laughing or screaming or shouting or fighting or anything like that as some kind of, like uprising, which needed to be put down as soon as possible, and she often did it physically. You soon learned the noise levels had to be very low, mainly from her smacking the fuck out of you, but, with anything she could get a hand on, so that was quite fun. So you kind of get conditioned into that as well. I mean, I wasn't particularly noisy as a kid. I liked to be in my own little world. I still like to be in my own little world. But it was sort of reinforced by this woman who would stand over you with a fucking stick or a ruler or a wooden spoon or a shoe or a belt or, and she'd find ways to make you quiet. I mean, partly it was, partly because she was, I feel, frustrated herself. Or partly because, my dad, as soon as he heard noise, would kick off and he'd go berserker. And it's like, as long as I keep the kids quiet in some way, usually by force, then, he might not kick off. So it was this horrible toxic situation, which reinforced my already established ASD, selective mutism. So it came naturally. So when it came to actually making friends in school, I was the quintessential sort of introvert that was adopted by extroverts. All my friends can talk. My friend Heather, who died, I'm afraid, a few years ago from health-related issues, she was the mother figure in our group. Like, I always hang out with the weird kids. I love the weird kids. I still love the weird kids. But, you know, it's always the quirky, weird ones that you got something wrong with them or something weird about them that don't quite fit in with that interest me. I love the anomalies. But she was the one that sort of adopted everyone. Andrew, my best friend, adopted everyone as well. He was like the paternal figure. Everyone seemed to just flock to him. I don't think he realized it, though. I was watching it as we were growing up. He always knew someone. He was that guy that knew everyone. And I don't know if he was particularly an extrovert, but he was just a really nice guy. He's still a really nice guy. I mean, I won't tell him to his face because I've known him too long, obviously. But, you know. And I doubt he'd listen to this stuff, so, you know, he's never going to know. But yeah, people just generally got along with him because he was this fantastic, easygoing guy. He didn't need the whole swagger, bravado, you know, fake stuff, just putting on a show sort of thing. He was just a really mild-mannered, gentle guy, and everyone just seemed to get along with him. He just collected people. But that's how I got collected by him, essentially. And maybe a second friend that we used to go to primary school in year 2. And we just, you know, stuck together as a group growing up. People came and go, but it was always us two. And, you know, Heather I met in high school, and she was the mother figure who adopted everyone. She's Italian, and so she loves everyone. Everyone's her kid, essentially, or was. And, you know, these people are just fantastic. They've got a natural inclination to be able to talk to people, all extroverts. Or maybe introverts that have learned how to extrovert, you know. So that's how I mainly got my friends. Like, just side joined on a group. It's like I got adopted by one extrovert who just, you know, gathered all the others. And you're like, okay, this sounds like fun. Let's go hang out. We all had our quirks, so no one was competing with anyone. We were all a bit weird in our own special way. So we just hung out. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty diverse group as well. You know, like all kinds of people, like English, Italians, Maoris, Samoans, everyone. You know, everybody joined in. Indigenous people as well, you know. It was great. So we got a taste of everybody's different quirks and everyone's different cultures, and it was all cool. No one had to put on an act because everybody was just like different, so we all got along. No one was competing with each other. No one thought anyone was better than anyone, which is what I loved. It wasn't until, you know, you get older and you start having to come out your shell a bit more in order to get work or to, you know, get a higher education or something like that, or develop social bonds or get boyfriends or shit like that, that you start really, if you're an ASD internal person, it becomes, you know, suffering. Because, you know, you're looking at these other people, and I spent a lot of my life just watching other people trying to figure out what was going on. And, you know, I went through this phase where I'm trying to fit in. Okay, everybody tries to do that. But with ASD, it's like I really need to fit in because otherwise they'll know that I'm fucked in the head. And so you're watching, and sometimes you're mimicking, and you're trying to figure out why they're doing that. And there's a lot of analysis and trying to mask shit that you know doesn't quite fit in with what the others are doing. But I was lucky in that I had that weird group because nobody really fit in. But it's good because you can also pick out aspects of people or situations that you want to mimic as well, because it feels right, or it looks good, or, you know, and that calls into question your authenticity. It's like what aligns with your values and what you want to do in life and be, and what kind of a person you want to be, or what you're walking away from to become. That was the perks of that as well. You can analyze what the best bits are. And I'm not saying just fake it till you make it. I'm saying that you genuinely have to align whatever you're trying to pick up with your internals. Your internals, yes, your organs. Does it fit in with your values? Is it real? Or are you just faking it to fit in because it seemed like a good idea at the time? Oh, hang on. Hey, I'm racing a semi-truck. I win. Sorry, okay. Sorry. Me and my little Picanto. I just gunned a semi-truck. Woohoo! Victory. Oh my god, sad. Anyway, so, you know, you got the bravado where you got to stick up for yourself as well. And my parents didn't raise me to stick up for myself. They wanted me compliant and submissive, and that, you know, set me up for a fall when I got married to that covert narc bastard, or overt narc bastard, I should say. Because he thoroughly enjoyed the way I was submissive, and I would do his bidding and do whatever he wanted me to do, because it meant that it would stroke his ego, and I'd do, you know, everything, and he didn't have to lift a finger and all that shit. But you get to a point where you're absolutely fucking fed up, and you stick up for yourself. You've got to. There's only so much you can choke an animal with, you know, one of those slip knot fucking chains before it will fucking turn on you. And I'm not saying I went completely fucking mental. I was already a bit quirky to start with. I didn't go berserker on him. I just left. I remember as much as angry as I was and as pissed off and frustrated, and after 16 years of all this crap and then suddenly this final betrayal, I do remember I didn't really say anything worth anything of substance. I do remember, huffing and puffing around the kitchen, and I couldn't get the anger out, and I couldn't get the words out because I'm just not that way. I don't know how to express my anger. I internalize it so much, and I had done so at the time for something like 33 when I left. For 33 years I suppressed this fucking anger because it wasn't deemed appropriate, because you weren't supposed to get angry, you weren't supposed to show anger. It was absolute control of emotions, and if you didn't, you got fucked over by your parents, or it was something. There was always something saying you can't be angry. So when I finally broke that, and it did feel like a break, I finally let that anger out, and I was alone when I did it. If you listen to the 2 episodes I did, the value of silence and the value of being alone, that was my sort of dark night of the soul time when I came out of my shell, mostly because I was absolutely alone, and there was no one to sit there and press my buttons and push me into shape, in the shape that they wanted me to be in. I had me, and if you want to go a step further, I had the divine, if you want to go in that way. And we just sat there and we just sorted the shit out between us. And it was like, what has happened? What do we want to do? What do we want to go? All that kind of thing. There wasn't my ex-husband sitting there telling me what I had to do, where, say, eat, talk to, who I could hang around with, why he didn't want me to see my family, shit like that. He wasn't there. My parents weren't there to tell me who I was, to squash me into shape and keep me into compliant servitude. It was just me, and if you want to go any further, Daddy God and the Mummy Universe. And it was just us going, right, fuck this, let's sort this out. And a lot of my bravado, which I had to learn or relearn, or, it's fairly new. I've only, been a bit ballsy since 33. Before that, I was completely in my shell and happy to do whatever someone told me to do. I got angry, like separating from my ex-husband, I got angry, and I let that anger out, and I didn't realize how much anger there was until I got signed up to a mental health stuff. And I'm not saying I went psychotic. At the time I walked in and I just couldn't stop crying, and I'm sitting there going, why can't I stop crying? And there's a lot of anger comes from grief, I think, honestly, and I've heard it before. But it was the grief of losing everything. Like absolutely dropping out the arse everything. I had nothing left. And there was an anger and frustration with that, because I poured my sort of heart and soul into this fucking thing. And then to have it drop like that in such a fucked up way, where everything dropped, I couldn't salvage anything of that. I think the only thing I had, honestly, was my job. And even then it was on rough ground, because this was pre-COVID and there wasn't much relief work running around. So I was like, shit, I'm in debt and all this crap. Now there's a whole story there I'm not going into because I'm saving time at this point. But if you listen to the other podcasts, yes, it is there. But the bravado came not from fake. It's not fake bravado really at this point, because, you got that whole fake it till you make it bullshit. It's like, that will only get you so far. People eventually will figure out that you haven't got the confidence, and that's where we get imposter syndrome. And then you also get people who are saying they've got imposter syndrome without actually acknowledging that they are an imposter. That's what gets my ass, because, you got assholes who have achieved nothing in life, done nothing in life, gone through nothing in life, and then they'll, for pity, for social acceptance, for pity, they'll say, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. It's like, no, you don't. You actually haven't achieved anything. You're just in denial, you got those. I've seen a few of them. I'm sitting there going, yeah, but what have you actually done? It's hard to feel sorry for you when you haven't tried, and then you're looking for pity. It's like, have you tried anything? It's like, that was the main thing in growing up in school, was have you tried? It was not a case of, I can't do it, oh, let's just accept it as it is. The teachers were constantly telling us, have you tried? Try something else. What else can you do? It's always that growth mindset. So we were lucky to have that in our education. It's not just a case of accept things as they are and fuck it. I don't know if that's the a newer sense of the education system, or what kind of paradigm they're trying to push with kids and growth mindsets and things like that. It could be. I should know that, considering my job. But I've always had that growing up. We didn't have the accept it as it is and that's it, fuck it, sit in your misery. We had the what can you do next? How can you change it? What can you get on with it? So when it came to the catastrophic year of 2018, bordering, moving on to 2019, 2020, which not only my life sort of fucked up, and then everything went into COVID and job losses and debt and all this kind of shit. Everybody got fucked over that year. I'm still thinking about that gorilla, right? No, the gorilla. What was its name? Oh my gosh. I want to say Jumanji, but it's not. I know you're thinking it. You're thinking it, I'm thinking it, I just can't say it, whatever it is. But it was that gorilla that got put down because it, I don't know, did something to a kid or something. Harambe. Harambe. Yes. Oh, I miss Harambe. But, you know, it's earned. Whatever I picked up, I mean, some of it's a bit silly, because I know I'm a bit silly. And I'll fake confidence just for a joke, to be honest. I'll be sitting there, you know, like catty comments and shit like that. But it's always a piss take. It's never real, like, I'm going to have a go at you sort of thing. It's never, I'm better than you, and so I have to tell you how better I am than you, right? It's me taking a piss out of the whole situation, because I find, given the futility of most circumstances we find ourselves in, this seriousness associated with, you know, taking yourself that seriously that you think you're better than everyone else is fucking hilarious. I find it stupid. And so I laugh my ass off when I see someone who's so full of their own ass, or so far up their own ass, that they think they're better than anyone else. I find it funny. It's like, I used to get angry because I'm like, oh, they're so arrogant. But now it's just like, yeah, they don't know how fucked up they are. This is hilarious. Let's see how far this goes. And then, of course, you do get that little, you know, little demon inside you that says, can I press the buttons a bit more? Let's see what happens. And you shouldn't, because people got their own life journeys. But, you know, we're all like, you know what, fuck it, this is funny. I want to see if I can poke someone. Let's poke the bear. We shouldn't. It's not nice. Or is it? I don't know, because it could sort of launch someone into their own dark night of the soul where they have to start questioning their own ego and what input they've had. So I guess it's all a learning experience. But bravado, it has its place. It's a false confidence boost, obviously. Just don't let it override logic and feeling and all kinds of normal... Well, I say normal, there is no normal. Just don't let it make you an asshole. I mean, my ex-husband was aesthetically pleasing. He was a personal trainer, so he trained to be the same size and aesthetic as Captain America. So if you've ever watched the movies, especially the one where he had that scraggly beard thing, that was my ex-husband's aesthetic. And he put a lot of work into it. He put a lot of time, he put a lot of effort, and he bought all the supplements, and he did all the work, and he's sitting there going, and that was what he based his worth on, was because he looked a certain way. That was his self-esteem. And I supported it because, you know, I'm guns blazing. I'm saying, let's go fucking forward. Why not? This is what you want to do, let's do it. I was still operating under the compliance side of things there as well, but, you know, I'm generally supportive. I like to see people progress. I don't like to see them go backwards and hurt themselves and fuck up their life. I don't like that. I hate that. It feels like a waste to me. It's like as soon as they start stepping backwards, I'm like, yeah, fuck. Okay, here we go. But if someone's pushing forward and actually growing and trying to get somewhere and do something properly, productively, and it's not going to hurt anyone and it's not going to fuck anyone over, then yes, I'm all on board, let's go. But the way he had trained, like, he was pretty skinny when he was a kid. I knew him since he was 17. We dated at 17, married at 27. He was a skinny, he's an ecto. I think it's ecto, which is the skinny one. I'm endo, and then there's meso, body forms. If you want to go through that sort of gym rat, body shape principle side of things, I'm right in the middle. I've never been skinny unless I had that eating disorder and then I was fucking ridiculously thin. And I've never been particularly heavy. I'm right in the middle. I'm lucky that way. That's good genes as far as I can see. You're right in the middle, you're moderate, you're fine. He was very skinny, so of course his low self-esteem came from, you know, being too skinny, or I don't know, supposedly, you know, not fitting in with the rest of the guys. I don't know, some shit like that. I should analyze him, but I don't really want to because last time I saw him was like 4 years ago. Fuck that. Long story. Which is still in the Yellow podcast. But, you know, his insecurities, I supported him because I loved him. I wanted him to be happy, healthy. I wanted him to get what he wanted. And in a sense, it became an enabling thing. So as much as I keep boosting him and trying to love him and give him compliments and give him what he wants and what he needs and what all the things you do when you love someone, right? You want them to see them progress. You don't want to see them fail. You don't want to see them in pain. He took it on board, and there must have been, in that 16 years, a point where the scales tipped. because then he started taking it too far. Then his ego crept in. He started thinking way too much of himself, I would say. And I think it was towards the end. I think he had a really good long run of it, of humility. I'm not bagging him up for that, because he wasn't a complete bastard the whole time. I admit that. But, you know, towards the end, he got a little too fucking full of himself. And I might have enabled that. Because I'm a horrible person. So we might have sort of created a false economy there, maybe. Because obviously, I don't know, he left me, I assume he left me for someone else. I think there was a girl called Cass, who was a girl we used to go to UFC fights with, and it was a new friend, and then, you know, at one point he was trying to find her an apartment or something like that, and he turned around with me, and I asked who he was trying to find it for, and he said, I'm not going to tell you who it is, because it's a close friend, and shit like that. And I was going, all this sort of covert shit, where I'm your wife, but I'm not allowed, you know, to know because it's secretive, and it's that was the start of the downfall of the relationship, really, I think. Besides the fact he had locks on his phone, and I was never allowed to look at any of his phone or anything like that. Not that I ever did, but, you know, there was lots. It was a gradual decline of the marriage relationship. I don't know what triggered it. To be honest, I'm pretty sure my behavior was consistent over the 16 years. If I thought he was, you know, but there was all ups and downs. It wasn't really like toxic at the time, which is why it became such a surprise when he suddenly said, I have to have an open relationship, I have to have an open marriage sort of thing, otherwise I'm going to leave you. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck did this come from? It's like, I don't get this. You don't do this. You don't take drugs. And he was taking drugs, and he was like trying to get me to try weed brownies and shit. I'm going, you don't do this. I've known you since you're 17. You don't do this. You don't drink. And he's wanting to go out drinking and stuff like that. I'm going, is this some kind of weird quarter life crisis or something? It's like, what did I miss here? What is this? And he wants to hang around bars, and, you know, it's a whole big thing. And I'm sitting there going, this is fucking retarded. I don't know if this is a phase, but all this shit is new to me. And I've known you since we were kids. So what the fuck, dude? But yeah. But I was angry with that. That's where the majority of my bravado came, where I really started kicking back, saying, fuck you, guy, because I didn't deserve this shit. I know what I was good for. And I'm kind of glad he did it to me at a younger age than, say, if you were like 40 or 50 and they turn around and they say, I need this. Because, you know, I still have got a bit of fight in me. I'm not quite, you know, old enough to be too tired to not beat the shit out of him. So, you know, I'll want to, right? It's like, you insulting fucker. Get over here. Let me get this pole. A lot of that sparked me starting to stand up for myself and open my mouth and say, hey, fuck you. Before that was like 33 years old, dude. 33 years of being a submissive, nice girl. Not sticking up for myself, not saying a fucking word and just going along with someone else's plan. And by 33, I'm like, right, I'm on my own. I'm alone, I'm in debt, I'm staying in my dead granddad's house. My nanny is going to die a couple of months from now. So, you know, I'm in debt. I've got no one looking after me, no one checking up on me. It's fucked up. I'm not mentally all there myself because of, you know, like a background of trauma and shit. I need to keep working, not that I have a choice at this point, but to keep pushing forward. Otherwise the debt will get worse. And it was a case of holy fucking shit. And, you know, everything collapsed. My school went through, my businesses went through, my everything. So that's when I really started developing, in the sort of alone and silent time, I really started developing my, you know, sticking up for myself, speaking out, and my bravado. So even though, what am I, like 38 now? It's only been 5 years since I've started this. It's become interesting. I'm having trouble with the tax side of things sometimes because I'm sick of sugarcoating shit. I really am. It's like I've been through enough fucking shit, and to people please and to be nice to people, it gives me the fucking shits at this point. I'm going, you fuckers know what you're doing, but because you want the niceness, you can't accept that you're being an absolute arsehole yourself. I've got to, you know, being authentic to myself, and it's a whole big fake bullshit thing that I fucking hate. I really do. It's like, why should we have to be nice to assholes? They're actively being assholes. It doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, but you don't want to be seen as the bad person. It's like, at this point I fucking do. Fuck you. I'm so sick of these assholes. It's like, why do they keep being mean? I don't understand it. And the more you're nice to their face, the more they do it. The more they will backstab you in the back, the more they'll take the piss out of you. New friends, like, oh, she's so nice. Or the more they'll exploit you for your resources or, you know, your love and affection. And you sit there and going, I want to be nice to you fuckers because I do feel it's the right thing to do, but you fuckers are being fake nice to me and I can't understand why, because I'm fucking autistic, or how, or why everyone's just fine with this situation. I don't understand that either. It seems if you've got to be mean, you should get mean stuff back. Isn't that how it works? If we're nice, we get nice stuff. Mean, you get mean stuff. I don't understand why everybody just goes along with these people acting like covert cunts. I don't understand it. You know, it's like, if you're going to be mean, be mean. Oh, Christ. Excuse me, I did say cunt. Oh, look, I said it twice. Look at that. Anyway. I have one. I'm allowed to say it. I don't have the word dick. I will say dick. Oh my god. Anyway, we can talk about fun swear words later. But it doesn't make sense. And so I do come across as a bit bulgy. And I can be a bit tactless because I get so fed up of the fakeness. I get so fed up of people smiling in my face while they try to group my boyfriend, for example, or, you know, inviting me to come look at the products in their shop while they're actively trying to steal my boyfriend. I'm going, are you fucking serious? You think you're going to mug me off like that? Sure, I'll give you money while you grope him. It's like, you fucking retarded? It's like, no, I'm not going to support your business. But it's that fake niceness. It's like, if I'm nice to your face, hee. Or, you know, we're all pretending to be friendly people by hugging everyone. I'm sitting there going, first of all, I know why you hug everyone. This is one particular person I've got in mind. I'm not going to say their name because they're a piece of shit, but you go around hugging everyone to pretend to be nice, to piss off girls, to create competition. You also hug the boys hoping they get attached, because there's some needy motherfuckers out here. They are emotionally needy, whether they'll admit to it or not, but you want them to latch on because you've got that attention. And eventually you're going to get pregnant to one of them, so you get stuck with them. Now, they're not actually going to stick around, hopefully, because they got fucking brains, but, you know, or maybe they've got low self-esteem, so they will stick around. And you'll keep pushing this agenda that you've got to do the right thing by sticking with me, even though your whole motive before that was to get pregnant purposely, to keep this guy around. Because you're afraid to be alone, you've got low self-esteem yourself, you have no self-value, and so, you know, it all works together to creating a clusterfucker situation where two people are stuck together who they don't love, but they think they're doing the right thing by staying together. And I've seen it so many fucking times. Oh my god, don't even get me started on that fucking social group. I've seen so many cliche patterns come out of these fucking 20-year-olds, and I'm sitting there going, I can't do this, man. This fake niceness bullshit while I stab you in the back, it's ridiculous. So I do come across as an asshole, and I admit that, but you know, it's 33 years of bottled up bullshit. I'm going, I can't do this, man. I'm too old, I'm too tired. My confidence comes from generally being too tired. So I've got kids in my face all fucking day, from like 8 o'clock in the morning till fucking 4 o'clock in the afternoon or so. And occasionally they see me out in public. So I've got these assholes, well, I say assholes, they're not assholes. They are the appropriate age for these acts. They are the appropriate age for having a whinge. Because, you know, I'm whining and not understanding what's going on and being a bit bitchy at times, because that is the kid thing to do. I admit that. They are not adults. I don't expect them to act like adults. They have no grasp. They're still learning. They're still learning social skills. I don't expect them not to backstab each other. I do get pissy when they do it because I'm like, all right, you should know better by now, common sense. But they don't. And so it's more forgivable. But when I see it in 20-year-olds, I sit there and I think, fucking grow up. This is bullshit. Why are you still doing this? I got this long in a day, and then I come into the social group and you fuckers are still doing this shit. I'm going, grow up, man. What the fuck? No one wants this shit. And it is self-sabotaging, because no one will stay to take on that fucking drama, because we're all tired. You get to my age, it's not that you're ready to settle down so much. It's a case of, I'm tired of everyone's shit, that I will settle down. I'll find one person who's less of an asshole than this group of people, and I'll fucking go with them. Because fuck it at this point. It's like, I just want to, and you do tend to, I don't know who these people are that want to go out at 40 or 50 and still stay in bars and drinks and all that social shit. obviously extroverts, but they're extroverts with like severe insecurities where they need that, you know, I need someone to look at me and say, ooh, it's like you need to fucking chill and get a blanket and go find a TV, dude. Let it go. But most people I find that just want to, if they're working a full-time job, they just want to go home and eat and sleep. And if they got kids, maybe they have to stay up like longer and look after and stuff like that. But it is exhaustion. It's constant sense of exhaustion. In your 20s, you don't fucking understand that because you're like, I just want to go out with my friends, get drunk, and it's all fun, and we're young and dumb. And you sit there and get to 30, you're like, fuck you, leave me alone. Everyone leave me alone. And you turn into the Grinch, which is fabulous because the Grinch has amazing dress sense. Have you seen those Lederhosen? I want those Lederhosen. Of course, I need a top for it. He has his boobs out. Anyway, that'll get the boys. So, you know, it's you get fed up. My bravado is not fake. It is tired. It is, I've been through this and I'm not doing it again. It is, I've got trauma and I'm not taking your shit. It's a lot of background story and noise today. It's not just a case of I'm faking it because I think it's the cool thing to do, or I'm faking it because I want to make friends. It's like most of the times I don't want to make friends. I'm tired. Friends require energy and money, and at this point I'm just looking to get food on the table and a roof over my head, simultaneously trying to sleep and eat at the same time whilst going to a gym. Okay, I don't have a lot of demands. I definitely don't really have social demands. I'm tired, man. I just wanted to stop. And that's the story of anyone over 30, or maybe even over 25, depending on how early you started in life. Some people mature faster as well, and they call that maturity. I call it fatigue and burnout, but you know, she's so quiet. It's like, no, she's fucking knackered, man. Sit down, leave her alone. And like back in a social group, I'm sitting there going, I can watch and see the ones I'm likely to hang out with. And it was always the guys that are sitting in the background just chilling. And like John was one of those good ones. It's like I understood when he said that I don't do the social thing. Because I came in one time with my ex-boyfriend and we tried to invite John over to the table and he's like, no, I don't do that. And I'm like, And I you know, clued on pretty fast. I'm like, I thoroughly fucking relate to this. It's like, I want to hang out with John. It's like, I don't want to hang out with these guys. They're noisy and they do dumb things and it irks me. But, you know, I think it might be just generally, it's not so much maturity as it's just aging and getting sick of everyone's shit. The drama, the ego, the trying to constantly one-up each other. Although I never did that with my friends. My friends were pretty chill. It's only these new groups. It's weird. Everyone thinks they're fucking amazing. And you look at them and you go, well, you're not because you've achieved nothing. So your parents have told you you're fucking amazing, maybe. I don't know where it comes from, this pumped up ego. The reality of the situation is, where are you going to be in the next 10 years? Because so far you've achieved nothing. I mean, some of you even just barely scraped out of high school, so I don't know what you're celebrating. It sounds cruel, but it's true. And at this point, you know, you get to a certain age, you're just like, I just want to be a realist about this. I was an optimist. I am an optimist. But when I'm looking at life circumstances and people that think they're hot shit with that fake bravado and I just want to be friends with everyone, it's like, that's not real. It is fake and it will fall. Don't do that. If you genuinely like someone, yes, interact with them, support them, totally. If you're doing it for popularity, because you're still mentally stuck in high school, or your friends are mentally stuck in high school and that's what they value, good luck with that. Because even though, you know, that social group I left is, all of you fuckers are going to get fired at some point. It's like, you people are going to leave. You are not close friends enough that you will want to keep in contact with it. And you'll drift apart. It's not like you grew up together. It's not like you are, you know, friends or you married one of their cousins or something like that you've got to stick together. Eventually, you fuckers will separate. And all the networking and or what you deem networking, which is really backstabbing and bitching, will fall apart. I mean, God, it might be a godsend at some point because some of these really nasty fuckers. I'm sitting there listening to their shit going, what the fuck, dude? This is what I get from 8-year-old girls, not 20-year-old women. The fuck? Catty bitchiness. You go, ugh. And some of the guys are the same, which I found fascinating. I'm going, what is this? Because guys, I've never known guys to be bitchy. I've known them to be rough. Like if they're not happy, like in school, if they're not happy, the guys might start a fight with each other or generally, you know, like have a dig at each other, but they never really go catty bitchy. You say, well, what the fuck is this new generation coming through? I don't know, maybe it's just the people I was, you know, hanging out with at the time. Thank God it wasn't permanent. Now, the bravado you're going to need. Some point in your life, you're going to need bravado. You're going to need to be able to, I suppose, speak yourself up into situations where you're going to lack confidence, and that's fine. That is fake it till you make it, but at the same time, don't just fake it. You've got to actually put the effort and energy in to make it, and once you make it, you can drop that fucking fake shit. I don't mind that so much. Like, even going into the classroom when I first started teaching, it's like I was not confident because this was a new experience, and it's perfectly natural not to be confident in that kind of circumstances. You've got all your theory learned, but you don't know what the practical side of it really is until you hit the ground running. And that's why we've got low teacher resilience at this point. Most first years are, leaving after 2 or 3 years and going, fuck this. She just can't handle the situation, which I find interesting. There's a wave of exodus, just leaving the situation. But you're going to need at some point. I'm terrible like social relations. So if I want to ask someone up, I have to ask them out. I have to amp myself up so much just in my own head, just to pick up the phone or text them or something stupid like that. And some people can just go into it guns blazing. They're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I honestly have to amp myself up because I'm not familiar with these circumstances. I mean, my ex-husband, I started dating at 17. We stuck together until I was 33. It's like I've got no experience when it comes to hitting on people. I can analyze the fuck out of them. It's fun to do that. I don't mind doing that. Of course, you do tend to see a shitload more red flags when you do that, so it's probably not conducive to stability in a relationship when you can actively see the demon in them. You go, ooh, whoops, okay, I probably won't pick that one. But it's confidence is something you learn as well. Some people are naturally gifted that way. My younger sister she's fabulous. When I was doing my selective mutism and I was having trouble speaking, this was way into my late teens as well. My younger sister, who is a fabulous extrovert, if you ever listen to that episode I did called Siblings, I think it is, she can just go. She just walk into any fucking situation. She just starts talking. And I'm going, how the fuck are you doing that? It's like, she's blah. And I'm fucking jealous of her for that. I'm going, you little bitch. How are you doing that? But I don't know. Maybe she got a different dose than we did growing up. I don't know how she does it. Maybe she got natural inclination. Maybe she's not autistic. But she can just go. And I envy that because I've never had that. And I swear to God, if she liked someone, she'd just go up to their face and ask them out. I swear she would. I think she would. She doesn't do shy. She doesn't do... I mean, what used to be called shy when I was growing up, my parents just thought I was shy and quirky. It turns out, you're actually autistic. It's like, oh, okay. She's just shy and quirky and doesn't say much. And, oh, look, she's face down in the sandpit again, just doing sand angels and shit and hiding under a bush. And I did actually do those things. But it was mainly to get away from them as well. So, it was fun. I liked it. Got a strange fascination with textures as well. And a stutter. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm a mess. I don't know. But I envy people that can just walk into a situation like that, guns blazing. Anything that I am now, I've learned. It's partially rage and partially experience and fatigue. And it's like a little brainstorm of shit that contributes to feeling genuinely confident, I think. It's not just a case of one or two things. It's a cluster of things that you go through or you can attribute to it. I would thoroughly encourage developing it because it is a skill you will need as an adult growing up. There's a lot of shy people or introverted people that go without just because they don't have the balls to sort of speak up or they don't think they deserve it or something like that. But you got to get up and fight for it if you want it. Don't let people turn around and say, oh, you don't deserve it or stuff like that. Because they will. Because it's competition, isn't it? As soon as someone speaks up and says, I want this, I'm going for it, it's competition. And they will fucking cut you down. That doesn't mean be nasty about it, but have some balls and walk in, your head held high, and get your fucking job done. Don't fuck around. I'm still a bit backwards when it comes to asking guys out there. It's like, I'm still traditional. I am traditional because I was raised that way. I'm not one of these girls that goes up to a guy and says, "Hey, you're going out with me," sort of thing. I'm always waiting for them to ask first, not because. It's partly because I don't want to come off as a slut, I suppose, I guess. Because that's in there somewhere. My parents are very reserved when it comes to sexuality, which is probably why I hate hoes. Even when they hit on me, I'm just going, I don't like you, man. I don't like your lifestyle. I don't like the way you live. I don't like your value or the value you've given yourself. I've real aversion to slaggy women and men, actually. Slaggy men as well. I don't like them. I don't like people hoeing around. It devalues you. But it's partly, from my own values that I've developed, that I've seen and experienced people do and things like that. And also my parents, I expect. Because you are, constructing your reality from your externals as well as your internals. It's not a case of nature versus nurture. See, my stutter's kicking in again. I'm sorry. It's a case of nature and nurture. It's, it's behavior plus thought plus feeling. It's not, segregated. It's a symbiotic relationship. Everything's connected. So, I've got to develop that. I need to develop that because I would like to find someone else, and I need to be brave about it, and I need to figure it out. But, at the moment, what with my projects and everything, it's kind of on the back burner. Because everybody's saying, why don't you just go out to a pub or a club or, like go and ask someone out at the gym or something like that. And I'm sitting there going, I don't want to. I don't feel brave. And that's my little tiny person inside me saying, it's okay to not want stuff. It's okay. You deserve it, absolutely, but it's okay. We're working on bigger projects. We're trying to reason that we need a house over our head and we need, food on the table and stuff like that. So we're sitting there going, it's okay to put it on the back burner. But what I really need to do is not leave it too long. And it's not like I'm going out looking for guys just to get laid or something like that. I'm genuinely looking for a proper relationship. But the inside little quiet girl is still sitting there from my childhood and sitting there going, we don't have to do that. It's okay. I'm just going to go find some crayons and maybe bake some cookies or something. It's like, we don't have to do that. That sounds like a lot of scary stuff. I don't want to. And I've got to, I've got to shake her up a bit. Because I have no problem with confidence when it comes to hanging around kids. That's my job. I've been doing it for 12 years. I can walk into a room and just blast guns and get going and, like that. As soon as it comes to interacting with other adults, I'm terrible. I'm not good at it. So if anyone see me like in a social group or in a pub or something like that, I'm actually willing to talk to anyone. Bearing in mind, I am terrified at the time. I am genuinely shitting myself. And I know I put on a nice facade that I'm happy and I'm beaming, and a lot of that is just smile and wave. So I'm like, why is anyone looking at me? I hate this shit. I want to go home. Why do I have to be here? I could be unconscious with food. It's just terrible. And what's annoying is the loudest people get, what they want. It's the squeaky wheel, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you do feel like you might miss out on something because you don't speak up. And I even to this day still feel that. Parts of me are still like, could I have saved my marriage if I just said something, if I'd spoken up sooner, or if I'd stood up for myself, earlier in the relationship, or, could I have got a better job if I just stood up for myself against my parents, because they were the ones that said you're going to be a teacher, or, my mum was pushing me into it. And I'm like, if I just said, no, I want to do this, because I was supposed to go into fashion design and stuff, because I love clothes and I love creating stuff and I love making things with my hands, and I've always been sewing or painting or knitting or crocheting, or it's always been something with my hands. I've always been making things. The sort of higher learning stuff was there, but it didn't come until later on, after I got my bachelor's degree, did I start actually unfolding my brain a bit more. High school was a blur because I was barely conscious, I think. Anorexia really fucks with your brain. So that was at 16, 17. Before that, I was just surviving home. So, it's been a journey. But it was crazy. I should have stood up for myself. So some things, and of course you get to this age and you're starting to regret things. I don't know if it's regret because this is a good solid fucking job. I have a good pay. I have breaks. And I know the hours are shorter than most do because I do 8 to 3 or 4, depending on where I am. People doing 9 to 5 and shows like that, and it's so there is some substance to what my parents pushed me into. It is a reasonable job. It is always a job that's in demand. It's not based on seasonal stuff. I'm never going to have to really worry about getting fired. It's a pretty safe job. There's always a paycheck there. whether I want to be permanent or casual, whatever. So it's a good solid job. So I can understand the reasoning behind it. I mean, if that's their way of showing affection, was to push me into a stable job, I guess I can appreciate that, right? Breadcrumbing. Anyway, but you know, even I've got to work on my bravado. So I've only had this confidence, I suppose, for like five years, and even then, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure out it. I still walk into a classroom at work, and if there's a extroverted teacher, I still go submissive. It's horrible. Because I just want shit to work. I just want things to be quiet and steady and maintained. And if they want to take the lead, that's cool. Okay, go take the lead. It's like, I'll do this over here. It's like, I don't have to be in the limelight all the time. I can do both roles. That's the perks. Maybe you should just diversify the way you approach life in that way. It's like, be fluid in whether you can take the lead or whether you can follow. I mean, that's ideally, really. So if you're going to cover all bases, you might as well. That's why I say don't stick to one skill set. Try and get as many skills as possible. Don't stick to one set of norms and values that are stuck in a particular, say, sex or gender. It's like, you should be trying everything. See what you're good at. Go and try anything, everything. Not everything, obviously. There's some things that are generally destructive, like sleeping around and doing drugs. But, you know, we're polyamorous. Sure you are, sweetheart. You're definitely not destroying your soul. Don't get me started on that. I'm going to do one on that, but I won't do it today because I'm too tired. But it's, you know, I mean, isn't it just people hoarding? God damn. Anyway, it's just people hoarding. Because you have low self-esteem and you keep trying to prove yourself externally when realistically you should heal yourself internally. God. Oh, I could go on for days about that shit. I hate hoes. Anyway, I really do. It's like, you're just tragic. Why do you keep doing this? Because we're free and we're young. You're not. You are crushing your internals and your emotional side of things. You're just killing yourself by doing this. And you don't see it now because it's in the immediate, but when you do see it later on, you're really going to fucking hate yourself. Anyway, and this is all from experience. Not that I actually existed in a polyamorous anything willingly. Most of the time I didn't fucking know about it. So what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, long story. So most of mine comes from, you know, like, even anger can be transformative. You can take some horrible fucking experiences and transmute them into the best experiences because they're all lessons. It's the way you see it. It's not just a case of someone did something fucking horrible to me and, oh, I'm the victim now and everybody should feel sorry for me. So don't fucking feel sorry for me. I know I've had a fucked up life. I know that I've got so much out of it, that I've learned so much and I'm resilient as fuck. I encourage people to insult me to my face. I hate the fake shit. But, you know, you're going to learn. You're going to gain something from this. Everything is gaining. If you're not gaining something of substance, like physical, then you're gaining something abstract, like a lesson, like a morals, like a boundary. You're saying, okay, I'm not fucking doing that again. You never really lose. So when people don't feel confident, they really need to change their mindset and see what kind of, what perspective are you using to see yourself in that? It's like the imposter syndrome. If it was real, and I'm talking about real people with imposter syndrome, they've done all the training, they've got the background, they've got the experience, and they still don't feel like they deserve the position, even though they've been accepted in that position. You really need to start looking at how you're seeing yourself. You really need to start evaluating what you've actually done. Look back, write it down if you have to. I have to write shit down because I can't do abstract stuff very well. I can't visually see things in my head very well. I prefer to see it on the page so I can go, okay, so this is where we come from. And this is where we're going. I've also just, you know, done my financial projections for the next year and a half because I still want to map out where that house thing's going. So I know where that's going and I know we're on schedule, so I'm happy with that. But, you know, find a way to access ways of seeing your own value. Don't just, you know, because I can't do compliments. If someone says, oh, you're pretty today, you go, oh, yeah, fucking funny. Anyway, fucking funny, dude. Because it wasn't emphasized as a kid. My parents were not supportive of the aesthetics side of things. My mum wanted me to be functional. My dad didn't give a fuck. My dad just wanted people to stay away from me, particularly boys my age. Hence the reason I was sort of housed up until I was 18. I wasn't allowed to leave the house unless it was for school or for errands with my parents. I was very much chaperoned. I wasn't allowed any kind of real freedom. You know, kids were playing in the park and stuff, and I'm sitting in my house watching them because I wasn't allowed out the house. Even at 17, I used to have a friend called Jason, who was just like a friend zone friend. I've known him since year 5 or some shit like that. And we'd go and sit on the driveway and just chat. And my parents would be watching, well, my mum would be watching me. And this is at 17, just sitting there on the driveway. It's like, you can see nothing is happening, but I'd be watched. And it's not a fun experience because you don't feel private. You know, you don't have any kind of privacy to develop who you are or what you want or anything because you're constantly being surveyed. So that was kind of horrible. But, you know, once you got out the house, like at 18, I was allowed to walk the dog. I was pretty stoked about that because I used to say this was post-exam. So, you know, they were happy as long as I'd finished the exams and that was done and dusted. After that, they didn't really fucking care. As long as I'd, you know, done whatever they wanted me to do, and your time's your own sort of thing. So I'd done my exams and I used to take the dog for a walk and nothing ever happened. All these weird circumstances where my mum was like, you're going to see, pedophiles are going to try and abduct you, or there's rapists out there, and all this weird fear-based control that she had sort of thrown at us as kids, which was pointless because I was only sexually assaulted when I was fucking 23 or something like that, 23, and then, you know, my ex-boyfriend, he was a piece of shit, pretty much did the same thing except more aggressively. Yeah, I never saw these people. So 18-year-old, as soon as I could get out the house, I would take the dog for a walk. I used to go for like hours at a time. I'd go 1 and 2 hours just walking. I'd have my music and I'd just walk. And I would go around the park, I'd go up the beach, I'd go around the streets, just walking this fucking dog. And the dog was like losing weight like a motherfucker. But you know, I was like, finally, freedom. But it was good because it got me out the house and I started slowly, very carefully developing my confidence. Of course, that was shattered when I married my ex-husband, or I started dating my ex-husband properly and married him, and because he wanted me to conform to a certain particular format, which was compliant to what he wanted, and that was, you know, serving his wishes, which I took on because I'm an idiot sometimes. But at this point, and with my last relationship, I really did stick up for myself. I got mouthy. I'm unashamedly got mouthy with that fucker. I don't care. After my ex-husband, I'm like, I'm not doing this again. You know, I'm going to stick up for myself. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to say no, and I'm going to get angry, and I'm going to say things. And I came across as a bitch at times, I know. Particularly after we'd been drinking heavily. And I don't drink anyway, so I don't drink now. I didn't before him. But I was getting all my anger out. I'm like, I'm not putting up with this shit again. I've had this for 33 years. If you think I'm going to fucking do it with you too, you're fucking dreaming. And I came across as some really possibly horrible person. That's one of the reasons I left, actually, because he was making me become, or at least he was contributing to me becoming someone I didn't want to be. I was never that angry with my ex-husband. Never. And I was with him for 16 years. This guy had me for on and off 2.5 years. We broke up 6 times. And I never argued so much in my fucking life. And it was over stupid shit. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. This is just trauma bonding. It's fucked in the head. I'm not making what is already a fucked up place at times worse by dating you. You know, it's like, fuck that. It was non-stop arguments. Non-stop over like pig behavior and just closed-mindedness and it was the worst fucking relationship I've ever fucking been in. And I've only been in 2, so what did I have to judge it by, you know? What did I have to back me up saying I've experienced this, really? But, you know, I became someone I didn't want to be, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not staying for this. I'm not doing this. It was completely destructive relationship. So fuck that. So I'm not doing this. So sticking up for yourself can pay off dividends, really. If you know that something is intrinsically wrong about this, if it doesn't sit right with you, if you can't handle it, and it's okay not to handle it. Some people will stick with toxic shit just to say I'm tough. And that is fucking lethal, because that is just creating all the horrible shit, or perpetuating or emphasizing all the horrible shit that you've been internalizing for the last how many years. And you're saying, I have to hold on to this person, even though they treat me as like shit, because if I don't, it means that I'm not tough. And that's bullshit. The hard part is fucking leaving, because you've conditioned yourself to normalize it. The hard part is saying, I'm better than this, fuck this. And leaving, physically leaving. I mean, I was lucky in that I got evicted, because I was still trying, even after I knew we were getting evicted, I'm like, oh, you can come live with me, because I know that I've got a better credit score than you, and, you know, I'm more likely to get a house, and all that shit. So even then I was still trying to protect the fucker. I'm going, when I actually got out of that house and we got evicted, he went his separate way with his, you know, fuckboy best friend, and which I was grateful for. I'm like, you took a load off my hands, honey. And I got my own apartment. It wasn't then, so it really started to dawn on me how much I needed to get the fuck away from this situation from the people, from the circumstances, and I could just start leveling out all this fucked up shit that had happened in the last, God knows how many, 2.5 years. Because before him, I had a nice space of calm where I was on my own, yeah, and it was a bit sad and a bit lonely, but it was calm. And I'm like, all right, this is me. I'm sticking with this shit. And then he came along and he's like, ooh. So, which is absolutely the scientific reaction to a person like that. Is that a Wookiee? No, it's a cunt. Seriously, just as hairy. Anyway, ew. 70s bush. Anyway, so, you know, I was not good. It was not a safe place. I never felt safe. I never felt like I could trust him. I never felt safe because he was sexually violent, man. It's like, I never felt safe because he was constantly hitting on other people. It was only in turning around to myself and saying, I don't fucking want this, and sticking up for myself and saying, I don't deserve this, I don't want this, I'm going somewhere else, that you actually sort of bolster your own bravado. You bolster your self-confidence and you say, I'm better than this, I don't need this shit in my life. And I'm definitely not fucking spending the next 40 years doing this shit. Because this was a guy I'd had a candle for since I was like 23. Because I built him up, I put him on a pedestal, I built him up. And I said, oh, he's this kind of wonderful person. And then you actually date them or you live with them and you go, what the fuck was I thinking? What the fuck? Who was I looking at when I made this candle? So I don't even know. That's insane. This person isn't this at all. He lies. He's faking whoever he is, because eventually that mask does drop. And some people keep the bravado for a certain amount of time because they want something out of someone. And they'll come across as this really chill guy and they're into Bitcoin and fucking, oh, I just want to be at a pub and hanging out with my mates. And you sit and think, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's not something I'm not familiar with. I'll give it a go too. That's a kind of chill lifestyle. But then the real person comes out after a while at home when no one's looking, and circumstances become a bit fucked up, or they don't get their own way, or something like that, or they cheat on you or something like that. And you sit there and think, fuck this. You lied to me, bastard. And that's a betrayal in itself, because you get hooked onto this idea that they were this person at the start, that they presented themselves to be. And then the reality sets in that they're not, and they lied, and they're just hiding who they really are, because even they know that it's a fucked up situation that nobody will want. So instead of actually changing themselves, they'll fake this bravado. No, go back and change the shit, dude. So even you acknowledge this is dumb. This is going nowhere and it's not helping you in any way, and people are systematically leaving you because of your behaviors. So you're the common factor. Have you ever thought that maybe you should change? And I'm not saying, no amount of nagging will change these people. No amount of saying you're hurting me is going to change these people. No amount of saying stop stops them. Or no stops them. It's that kind of person that they're going to keep going in their own willful little way, whether it's destructive or not, and they won't be told. And you sit there and think, I can't change this person. It's not my person. You are not someone I should be changing. You are not someone who's willing to change. I mean, even comparing like my ex-boyfriend to the yoga guy. The yoga guy wanted to change. He showed a growth mindset. He showed that he was capable of developing. And I'm sitting there going, okay, cool for you, dude. I'm with this guy, but yeah, cool for you. And I like those people because they're willing to change. I mean, some people see change as scary. I've never, had that chance to not change, It's been, the only thing that was consistent growing up was the abuse. That's all I can say. And not being able to leave the situation. That was it. But you get so used to loss. I mean, if you listen to that podcast about poverty cycles that I did, it's all about loss. You get so used to change, like you don't get to keep anything. Even if you get something nice, you don't get to keep it because it's going to be broken or stolen or taken away, or change is inevitable as far as I can see, and it's not comfortable, yes, but it's going to happen. So you have to change yourself. If your bravado is fake and you're faking it to fit in and you're faking it to get somewhere, then just fuck you. It's as simple as that. If it is bravado which you've earned, which you've experienced through trauma or through learning or through interactions with people, or because you've found genuine value to these things, it aligns with your values or what you want to promote yourself as or be as, then yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's the form of bravado that I can sit with. It's the fake shit to get shit out of people also that pisses me off. It's like, don't fake that shit. People will find out that you're a fake eventually. And they'll just drop you like hot shit because chances they're probably faking it too. As soon as the status quo is altered, when someone can't get something out of you, you'll see people run, and it's the people that stick are either, no, trauma bonded? I don't know. I think that was what it was as well. I think he wanted to see how much he could treat someone like shit, and if they stayed, then they loved him. I'm sitting there thinking, no, fuckhead. If you treat people like shit, they leave. That's the normal, healthy thing to do. Anyone who is staying, despite you treating them like shit, is fucked in the head, okay? That's not proving how you love someone is by taking abuse. That's just being insecure and not being able to stick up for yourself. And I've done that with my ex-husband. I'm not doing it with you. It's like, no, it took me 16 years to learn that lesson. Fuck off. It's like, and that's the sassiness coming through. You're like, I'm finally sticking up for myself. You think I'm going to take it from a fucking like you? You are joking. And I do get a bit animated with that. I can feel myself going red. But it's the balls of it. It's like, it's outright nasty. And you're sitting there going, this is in no way subtle. Why do you think anyone will stay for this? This is not really covert. I mean, when he's sitting there having a dig at you for your belief systems and stuff, and it's like, and saying things like, was it something stupid like, I only argue about this because I care about you and what you feel and think. I'm thinking, no, you only argue about this because you're a manipulative, controlling asshole who won't let other people think for themselves unless it aligns with what you want them to think. You're an asshole. It's like, I've had one of those growing up. It was my dad. And when it wasn't my dad, it was fucking Bob. And when it wasn't Bob, it was fucking my ex-husband. You know, it's like, I've had so many of you fuckers telling me who I am and what I have to believe and what I have to do. And only if it aligns with what you think is important or valuable. And it's like, get fucked, dude. Fuck off. I'm not doing it. Go away. I'm too tired. You know? It's stupid. They're so far up their own arse that they think they are perpetually right about everything. And they will cram it down your throat until, you know. And the second you stick up for yourself or you leave and it's, oh, they're crazy or they're an asshole. Or, you know, it's like, oh, fuck off, mate. I don't have time for your drama. I really don't. Oh, my God. It's crazy. They don't love me enough. No, we don't love you enough to take your shit. I don't know who should be loving you enough to take that level of shit. I don't. That is just abuse. That is trauma bonding and a narcissistic trait. And I've lived through it before and I'm sure as fuck not doing it again. It's great to have that experience. I mean, people look at that and say, oh, it's a fucking horrible experience. My ex-husband was a real asshole. Like, I had this whole group of people telling me how much of an asshole my ex-husband was while I was in that separation year. And why did he have the house? And you should have the house because you're the girl. And oh, you should, you know, all these, they were really siding with me. I'm sitting there getting all this support from people. I'm going, okay. It's like, because I thought this was just normal. It's like, I'll just do this because it's fine. He can have the house. Oh, you know, it's fine. I'll go stay with my brother. I'll couch surf. I'll be homeless. But no, they were really getting pissed off for me. And that does help you to a degree because sometimes you need someone to help you stick up for yourself. Because maybe if you got a small voice and you're not used to saying things that you want or anyone sticking up for you really, or, you know, and you're not used to it and you think if you stick up for yourself, maybe you're being selfish or something like that. You need someone to bolster that ego. Most of the time you should be able to sort of bolster your own into doing something that's constructive. Don't bolster it into, you know, acting like a prick and self-righteous little shit, which sometimes I probably do. But it should be to be something that's gonna, you know, be morally good. It's not just walking into a crowd in a pub and saying, I'm fucking fabulous, give me free shit. It's a case of use your bravado as a skill or a tool to help other people find, you know, some kind of value in their own life. I think it's a service thing. It's not a case of I'm going to get something out of someone. It's a case of how can I help people learn or teach, and I use it in the classroom because you do have to have a certain level of confidence, otherwise people aren't going to listen to you. Kids definitely fucking won't. I'm currently having that problem right now, to be honest, because they got a little bit too friendly with me and now they're just rough riding me, essentially. It's like, oh, it's Miss So-and-so, great, we're going to have technology classes, right? Noise level up, chaos up, and you're like, you little shits. I've let you get away with too much. And it's like, I'm moving your peg and they just don't care. It's like, eh. It's like, what do you mean, eh? Walk into it, their normal teacher walks in and is like dead silent. You're like, oh shit, fuck you guys. It's like, why are they not quiet for me? And you know, it's a good sign that kids feel that comfortable around you to go that crazy. because I don't want to instill fear in them in order to control them. But you also need to have the kind of balls to actually stand up and say, all right, we're going to do this now, and this is what we're doing, and you're going to do this, and this is expected. You know, there's a whole dialogue going on with the kid where you have to get them to do something that we're all fucking tired, don't particularly want to do. But it needs to be done, and this is what we do. You got to have that sort of thing. And I didn't have it when I started teaching, but, you know, you definitely develop after 12 years of the fucking thing. And it comes with time and effort and practice, and you've got to keep working on it. If at the moment my temper being controlled is coming into play as well, because I'm finding that with them getting a little bit too comfortable, they're getting a little bit too fucking cheeky, and they're getting very mouthy, and they'll rough ride you, and you sit there and go, you little shit, no really. And you start feeling your sarcasm creeping in. You're like, I can't do this. I'm not supposed to be doing this with kids, because, you know, you get mouthy, they get mouthy. It's like, oh. So, you know, it's I'm not setting the good example. I should be, but I need to. That's what I was doing last night, actually. I was ruminating, where you're sitting there thinking, just sitting there and just staring off into space and thinking, it's like, why are they getting me this easily riled up? And how can I, first of all, stop it constructively? And then, what's it going to look like in practice? And it's like these things that you go home with, you're like, you guys shouldn't be able to do this to me. Okay, how can I fix this sort of thing? And that's part of me also dealing with my sort of PTS sort of thing, because I know they rile me up, and that's why I go to the gym, to elevate and de-elevate. Because I don't want to lose my shit in the classroom. I don't like raising my voice. I don't like all that stuff. I like being the weird aunt teacher that comes in and we all have fun, and then we all go home because, you know, you're looking forward to having technology because, you know, you got that weird teacher and she's funny and stuff. I don't like being the strict, angry teacher that shouts at kids like my mum is. It's a weird rebellion against the system, man. But, you know, it's something I need to work on as well. And it comes with reflection as well. You've got to draw the line between being confident and having bravado with just outright blasting the kids for being turds. So it's tricky. It's just, you know, and we're coming to midterm now, so the kids are getting angsty for the holidays already. Reports are due soon, so we're all stressed about that. And, you know, it's a full-on job. It's not just a case of I walk into a room and I leave. There's a whole bunch of other shit that goes on. So it's something I need to work on. There's a lot of things I need to work on. And it's a constant thing. Everybody's going to be working on everything. Lifelong learning never stops. It never stops. You could be 80 years old and still trying to figure out some shit. It never ends. Never will you ever feel that you have achieved absolute utmost, the pinnacle. You'll never... We're all heading towards enlightenment, but we don't know when we're going to get there, or if there's any brakes or acceleration. We're just going at some weird pace over some weird shit with a bunch of people behind us or around us and just looking at each other going, what the fuck is happening? So, you know, that sounds like we're all over 30, right? Did you achieve anything yet? No. Did you? I don't know. What is achievement? Oh, God, no, don't start that one. An existential crisis at like 2 o'clock in the morning going, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But it's fun because it keeps your brain ticking. You're supposed to keep learning. You're supposed to keep developing. You're not supposed to stagnate. You never were. You don't even stagnate. Your body doesn't stagnate. It just doesn't. You're constantly shedding skin cells and hair and renewing yourself and upgrading and growing. And so if we take advice from our bodies as an example of what to do with our, you know, minds, heart and souls, this is what we should be doing. You should be upgrading, constantly seeking towards some kind of betterment. But we ignore it because we want to get stuck in something. And this was good for this time, and if I keep sticking with it, then it's going to be good again. It's like, no, you can't touch the same waters twice. You stick your hand in a river, that water you touch 10 seconds, so it's gone. It's just gone. You know, you can't touch it again. Try and catch it in a bucket. And what happens when we capture water in a bucket? It stagnates and you get sick, so definitely don't drink that shit. And if anyone's pissing upstream, we're well fucked. So just don't. You've got to keep flowing, man. You've got to keep growing. So, you know, it sounds all pretentious and shit, but unless you're actually living in it, you sit there and go, holy fuck. Or if you're looking at it as an afterthought, you go, oh shit, you're right. And the amount of times like, you have these discussions with yourself in the universe and you're sitting there going, well, and they'll pop up some answer and you'll go, oh, fuck off. And then afterwards you've done something and you go, oh fuck, they're right. It's like, why are you always right? Or you can see how it relates. I know, it's weird ether talk, but you know, you find it. If you notice it, if you keep an eye out, you'll see the connections and you'll go, okay. So what did I do last time in this scenario? Okay, so yeah, all right, so we're going to, yeah, look back. You go look back to look now to go forward, essentially. I know it sounds a bit random, but, you know. Anyway, bravado. I'm going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid, because... what have I been going on for? This is going on for an hour. Oh my god, an hour, 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. This is going to be a nightmare to upload. I'm so sorry. I'm hoping you have a fantastic, what is it, Thursday? We got one more day. All right, keep it real, peoples. Take it easy. I don't know how you will relax. I hope it's not destructive. I hope you have a fantastic Thursday, and hopefully Friday comes really easy for you. I want you to relax, okay? Take it easy.